right, 25 minutes before 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Thursday morning. It's time for NewsBites. NewsBites is the segment of AM Ocala Live during which Robin and I read the news to you from the different news agencies that we subscribe to here at the source, WOCA, and we shorten those stories. It gives you an opportunity to catch up with the news without spending all day trying to do so and get on with your own life and live your own news. We will tell you the news agency we're reading from so that you can read the full story when you get the chance. The first story is from ABC News. Ukraine's president called an emergency meeting of the nation's Security Council and canceled a foreign trip today because of what he described as a Russian invasion, with rebel forces opening up a new front in the conflict. Heavy fighting was reported in the southeast of Ukraine near the town of Novoazovsk. Petro Poroshenko canceled a visit to Turkey for the inauguration of newly elected President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and called a snap session of Ukraine's Security Council. I have decided to cancel my visit to Turkey because of the sharp escalation of the situation in the Donetsk region as Russian forces have entered Ukraine, he said in a statement that was issued from his office. Control of the area would give Russia a direct land corridor between Russia and the Crimean Peninsula. The maneuver points to long-term strategic planning by Russia, according to a spokesman from the Ukrainian Anti-Terrorist Command.
The mayor of Lynn, Massachusetts says that some of the illegal aliens from Guatemala who are enrolled in her city's public schools are adults with graying hair and more wrinkles than I have. That's her quote. Her quote continues, "They are not all children." This is according to Judith Flanagan Kennedy. She told reporters at a press conference at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. yesterday. One of the things that we did notice when we were processing some of these students coming in was that they were adults, reported by CNS News.
And from ABC News, a jury returned a verdict of not guilty for a Texas father accused of the shooting death of a drunk driver who killed his two sons. David Barajas was accused of fatally shooting 20-year-old Jose Banda in December of 2012 after Banda plowed into a vehicle that Barajas and his two sons had been pushing on a rural road in Alvin, about 30 miles southeast of Houston. The Barajas family broke into tears in the courtroom while Jose Banda's family sat in stunned belief or disbelief. "I am relieved, but still in pain. My two boys are dead and nothing will bring them back," Barajas said in a post-decision news conference. David Jr., who was 12 years old, and Caleb, who was 11, were killed in the accident. A visibly angry District Attorney Jerry Yen said prosecutors would never present a case against a person we did not believe was guilty. 3 sons were lost that day, the Barajas children and the Banda son, Yen said. If Barajas had been convicted, he faced a potential life sentence.
The FBI is investigating whether Russian hackers staged a cyber attack on major Wall Street businesses this month in retaliation for U.S. sanctions imposed over Ukraine. The Russian hackers allegedly stole large amounts of sensitive data from J.P. Morgan Chase and at least one other bank. This is according to sources familiar with the investigation. The FBI is also reportedly looking into possible links to recent hacking of large European financial institutions, reported by The Telegraph.
And this is from CNN. A study published earlier this month on an alleged link between vaccines and autism has been removed from the public domain pending further investigation, according to Translational Neurodegeneration. In an online statement, the scientific journal said the paper had been removed because of serious concerns about the validity of its conclusions. CNN first became aware of the study when an iReport was posted about its publication and the controversy surrounding it. iReport is CNN's user-generated news community. Brian Hooker, author of the study and a biochemical engineer, found African-American boys who were given the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine, known as MMR, before the age of 24 months were more likely to be diagnosed with autism. To reach this conclusion, Hooker said he analyzed the same set of data that was the basis for a 2004 study done by researchers researchers at the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
The State Department is investigating reports that a second American jihadist was killed last weekend in Syria fighting for ISIS. The news comes a day after NBC News first reported that Douglas MacArthur McCain, a U.S. citizen, died fighting for the Islamic militants. A Free Syrian Army source said that the second American was killed in the same battle, reported by MSNBC.
And from CNN, hundreds of children have been systematically raped, beaten, and sex trafficked in a northern English town for more than 12 years, and it is still going on, according to a report from a government-commissioned agency. The appalling revelations also expose cultural tensions and lack of communication between authorities and the town's ethnic minorities that may have helped stop it. Social counselors saw evidence of sexual exploitation early on, but turned a blind eye, according to the independent inquiry into child sexual exploitation in Rotherham. The city's government recently made the inquiry's report available on its website, and so the abuses amassed, which included gang rape and death threats at gunpoint. At least 1,400 cases of abuse went on between 1997 and 2013.
The state of Florida's highest court has been asked to weigh in on the issue of gay marriage and whether Florida's ban on it violates the Constitution. The request was made yesterday by a majority of judges sitting on the bench of the state's Second District Court of Appeal. They cited the matter as one of great public importance and asked the Florida Supreme Court to examine it and issue a ruling. 4 district courts in South Florida and 1 federal court here in Florida have already ruled that the state's ban is unconstitutional. In 2008, voters passed an amendment to the state constitution outlawing marriage between 2 people of the same gender. The amendment has been called into question increasingly under the grounds that it violates the U.S. Constitution's guarantees of due process and equal protection under the law. The case cited by the appellate panel in its request is tied to a matter of divorce law. A couple married in Massachusetts has been seeking to have their marriage dissolved. A judge in Florida ruled that the motion represented a legal impossibility, noting that the state could not legally dissolve the marriage since it had never given legal recognition to it in the first place. The appeals panel said it was hoped that Florida's highest court should be able to settle the matter, but it is likely that it will end up before the U.S. Supreme Court, reported by the Florida News Network.
And from the Associated Press, in a story that was released 20 minutes ago, just weeks before the hunt for the missing Malaysian airliner is set to resume, an Australian official said this morning that the sprawling search area in the southern Indian Ocean may be extended farther south based on a new analysis of a failed attempt to call the plane by satellite phone. Australian Deputy Prime Minister Warren Truss said the analysis of the call attempted by Malaysia Airlines officials on the ground soon after Flight 370 disappeared from radar suggests to us that the aircraft might have been turned south a little earlier than we had previously expected. The Boeing 777 disappeared after veering off its northerly course from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing on March 8th and has become one of aviation history's most stunning mysteries. It is thought to have crashed 1,800 kilometers, which is translated to 1,100 miles, off of Australia's west coast, but no trace of the plane or the 239 people aboard has been found. The overall search area remains unchanged, Truss said. However, Australian Transport Safety Bureau Chief Commissioner Martin Dolan said he would meet with international experts next week to decide whether the 23,000 square mile targeted search area should be extended. We need to take a little break and be right back. We've got weather and a couple of commercials, and then we'll continue with News Bites. Remember, if you're new to this program, it's something we do each weekday morning. It's a great way for you to catch up on the news. We do it bite size.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. It'll be partly sunny today with a thunderstorm in spots, mainly during the afternoon hours over the interior sections. The high 88 at the beaches, 94 inland. And partly cloudy tonight with a shower or thunderstorm in spots, low 71 inland, 77 on the beaches. Tomorrow, a mix of sun and clouds with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, the high 90 to 95. And for Saturday, partly sunny with an afternoon thunderstorm, high 90 to 94. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
This is a public notice. Local residents can now save thousands of dollars on their next car, truck, or SUV. It's not a tent sale, because no tent is big enough to hold this many cars. It's OcalaForSale.com. Say goodbye to sticker shock. OcalaForSale.com has thousands of vehicles with no stickers at all. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to OcalaForSale.com. Prices and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge. Undercutting, loss proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
What you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
Even one late night makes us look less healthy and much less attractive to others. Get some sleep, sit up straight, and we're good to go. The toilet seat is probably the cleanest thing you'll touch in a public restroom. What you talk about at a meal, much more important than what you eat. Draw people out by asking everybody for the high point and low point of their day. We used to call them highs and lows at my family dinner.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Now is the time to take advantage of Florida Credit Union's CD specials. Our 36-month CD comes in at 1.26% APY. A 24-month is working for you at 1.0% APY. And our 12-month at 0.75% APY. All CD rate specials require $10,000 minimum. With friendly service and rates like these, it's not hard to see why Florida Credit Union has your CD options covered. Florida Credit Union, connecting your money to your life. Call 352-237-8222 for more information. Must act by 1/15/14.
Hi, I'm Yvette, and I'm here to tell you a few things about ABC Frederick's Appliance. They sell not only new, but used guaranteed appliances. When you call ABC Frederick's Appliance, they will provide service on what they sell and any appliances that you own. ABC Frederick's Appliance is located in Bellevue, right over the railroad tracks. Call 352-629-5181. That's 352-629-5181. That's 352-629-5181. ABC Frederick's Appliance.
You hear a lot of announcements on WOCA, but you don't want to miss this one. The Salvation Army Church Indoor Yard Sale is happening on Saturday, September 6th from 8 a.m. till 1 p.m. and everything is priced to move. Over 5 truckloads of Christmas items, clothing, furniture, knickknacks, and books. Doors open at 8 a.m. and there will be a little of everything. Go to 2901 Northeast 14th Street here in Ocala. Thank you for supporting the Salvation Army programs. 12 minutes before 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Thursday morning. Let's continue with NewsBites. This morning, I made a commentary regarding the idea that we focus our attention on trying to do away with ISIS by getting rid of their funding. This next story is from the Wall Street Journal. The Islamic State has become a mostly self-financed terror group by pirating oil, exacting tribute from 8 million people under its control, looting banks and taking Westerners captives, making it among the richest terrorist organizations in the world. The Sunni group, which evolved out of Al-Qaeda in Iraq and once depended on donors from the Arab and Muslim world, now sustains itself illicitly through a methodical system of extortion, according to the Wall Street Journal. Christians and other non-Muslims must pay a tax if they want to live within the areas controlled by the group. A gray market that relies on Shiite, Kurdish, Iranian, and Syrian businessmen, supposed enemies, moves oil, wheat, and other valuables from areas controlled by the Islamic State to markets beyond. The group controls the trade of up to 70,000 barrels of oil a day. Turkey says it is trying to better control its border with Syria to block some of this traffic. The extortion is targeted down to the local level. Rather than wait for crops to be harvested, the Islamic State demanded to be paid in gold, silver, or any other precious material for the annual crop we are about to plant, a farmer told the Journal. How much specifically it takes in from the assorted components of its racketeering operation is difficult to estimate. They are remarkably creative in their financing efforts, and they can operate independently of outside sources, according to Douglas Ollivant of the New America Foundation. Cutting off financing is difficult because the whole region is a cash economy, according to the Wall Street Journal.
Fear and anger over the largest Ebola outbreak on record has grown as health officials put up quarantines around some of the capital city's poorest areas. It's even worse than I'd feared, Dr. Tom Frieden, director for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, said yesterday of the Ebola outbreak rampaging through West Africa. Every day this outbreak goes on, it increases the risk for another export to another country. The sooner the world comes together to help Liberia and West Africans, the safer we all will be, reported by CNN.
From Fox News, President Obama reportedly plans to do an end run around Congress to forge an international climate change deal, effectively bypassing the Constitution's requirement to get the Senate's approval for a treaty. The New York Times reported that the agreement is slated to be signed at a United Nations meeting next year in Paris. However, because the U.S. Senate is unlikely to ratify any international climate treaty, Obama's negotiators reportedly are working toward an alternative agreement, a politically binding deal that would serve in lieu of a bona fide treaty.
A German delivery man claims charges that he flashed a teen won't hold up when his tiny penis is measured. A judge has ruled that the delivery man accused of flashing a teenage girl last summer must submit to a court-ordered penis measurement to determine if it was indeed his package at the scene of the crime. Herbert Q., whose full name has been concealed by the court, allegedly unzipped his pants in front of the girl last August while delivering a parcel to her home. But the 54-year-old denies the charge, saying his manhood is way too small for such a lewd act, and he even called on his wife to prove his lack of endowment. The wife is quoted as saying, "I'm sorry, darling, but your penis is too short to hang out of your trousers." Now, Judge Ulrike Andres has determined that the only way to resolve the case is to get an official measurement. The measurement will be carried out by the city coroner's office. But it wasn't immediately clear why an agency responsible for stiffs would be called upon for the task. That's from the New York Daily News. I gotta frame this story. This is great.
And you can read the rest on their website. The next story is from ABC News. 2 women, apparently under the influence of alcohol, set off a smoke alarm and fought inside of a Sunwing airline plane yesterday, prompting a fighter jet escort to Canada, according to the airline. The incident happened on board the flight that was en route to Manzanillo, Cuba. According to the airline, the women drank a significant quantity of their duty-free alcohol purchased in the lavatory and lit a cigarette, triggering the smoke detector alarm. The women then began fighting each other and made a threat against the aircraft, which was considered non-credible given their condition. That, according to a spokeswoman for the airline. 2 fighter jets escorted the plane back to Toronto, according to the North American Aerospace Defense Command, also known as NORAD, which serves Canada and the United States. The women were taken into custody after it landed in Toronto.
Suzuki has recalled about 19,000 Kisashi midsize sedans in the United States because spiders drawn to gasoline vapors weave webs that can block a hose to vent those gases. Airflow blocked in the car's evaporative emission system can cause negative pressure in the fuel tank, which can lead to cracks and leaks that increase the risk of a fire. This is a similar problem to one that prompted Mazda to recall the Mazda 6 twice since 2011. No crashes or injuries have been reported in relation to this issue. Suzuki stopped selling cars in the U.S. market last year after nearly 3 decades. So NHTSA and Suzuki advise owners of 2010 to 2013 Kisashis to take their vehicles to authorized service providers. The remedy, a filter on a ventilation line to keep the spiders out. The Kisashi was one of the Japanese company's best sellers in the United States before the automaker decided to pull out, reported by MSNBC.
And from the Tampa Tribune, officials are investigating after a 911 operator hung up on a Florida mother who was seeking help when her 10-month-old son got locked inside of her hot car. Shayna Deese of New Tampa had just set her son in the car when she went to put her shopping cart away. In that moment, the boy was playing with the keys and managed to press the lock button, trapping himself inside of the car in Saturday's summer heat. The mother called 911, but the operator told her that police would not be able to do anything unless the child was in distress, and even then they would have to smash the window. Without getting a location or further information, the dispatcher hung up on Dees, leaving her to ask Good Samaritans in the parking lot for help. A man nearby was able to smash the window and get the boy out, but police in Tampa are investigating what they say was a mistake on the dispatcher's part.
The rally that propelled the Standard & Poor's 500 index above a record 2,000 lost a little bit of momentum today. The S&P 500 rose 1/10 point to $2,000.12 in New York, with about the same number of stocks rising as falling. About 4.2 billion shares changed hands across U.S. exchanges, the lowest volume since July the 3rd. The market is not overly expensive, not cheap either. This is a quote from Ethan Anderson, Senior Portfolio Manager at Riemann Financial, reported by Bloomberg.
From the Marion County Sheriff's Office, they are reporting that a 23-year-old Summerfield woman was struck by a freight train yesterday. The report indicates that the woman lost her arm in the incident and that she may have been on the tracks intentionally. According to the report, Deputy Christopher Ellis went to the 6700 block of Southeast 125th Street and saw the injured young woman on her back with railroad personnel standing nearby. One of the conductors told the deputy the train was traveling north shortly after midnight, and the woman was observed lying between the rails with her right arm on one track. Sorry, I wasn't chuckling at that, I promise. The young woman allegedly told them she did not want to live anymore. The woman was taken to Ocala Regional Medical Center, where she was listed in critical condition. Yeah, I just wanted to let you know I wasn't laughing at that horrible story. There's something happening here in the studio.
Germany has announced plans to deport welfare cheats from other European Union countries as part of a major new crackdown on benefits tourism. Angela Merkel's government wants to expel immigrants from other EU countries who lie or use fraudulent means to claim benefits in Germany and block the worst offenders from re-entering the country for up to 5 years. There have already been calls for Britain to follow Germany's lead, with the former Labor Minister Frank Field calling on David Cameron to implement similar measures, reported by The Telegraph.
This next story is from the Chronicle. I don't know what city this is from. Let's see. Oh, from the, I guess this is it's from the Associated Press. Police officers who opened fire while disrupting a robbery at a fast food restaurant in Omaha killed a crew member with the TV show Cops, as well as the suspect, who was armed with a pellet gun that they thought was a real handgun, according to a statement issued yesterday. The suspect fired from the pellet gun before officers returned fire, according to Police Chief Todd Schmaderer. In a news conference, he said witnesses and officers thought the robbery suspect's airsoft handgun looked and sounded real, but discovered later that it fired only plastic pellets. The suspect, whom police identified as 32-year-old Cortez Washington, was struck by the officer's gunfire, but fled outside of the restaurant before collapsing. Officers continued firing on the suspect as he exited the restaurant, and that was when the Cops crew member, 38-year-old Bryce Dion, was also struck, according to the report. Dion was wearing a bulletproof vest, but a single bullet that hit his arm slipped into the gap in the vest and went into his chest.
Las Vegas's new Major League Soccer proposal shows that taxpayers' share of the stadium's upfront costs grew by 22% compared to an earlier proposal of the version in July. In a July 22nd city memo, Las Vegas's costs were listed at $128 million, and the developer's share was $44 million. The development team is led by Finlay Sports and Entertainment of Las Vegas. At the time, the $200 million stadium had a $29 million funding gap. Since then, the city and the developers have been negotiating to close the gap, reported by the Las Vegas Sun.
And that's all the time we have for News Bites. Remember, we do this each weekday morning from 8:35 until 9 a.m. It's our best way of getting a lot of news to you in a short period of time. and it gives you a chance to get on with your life after doing so. We'll take a little break, and we'll be right back. Veterans News is up next. Robin, how many stories today?
21.
21. All right, we'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. A second American reportedly killed while fighting along ISIS militants in Syria.
A 29-year-old Somali American from the Twin Cities is believed to have died fighting alongside ISIS. The Free Syrian Army, the rebel group backed by the U.S., says Abdirahman Muhammad was killed in the same battle as another American, Douglas MacArthur McCain.
Fox Radio's Jared Halpern. U.S. officials confirming recent increased chatter hinting at threats. This is a terrorist magazine, puts out ideas for militants.
New English language Al-Qaeda magazine also features an article on how to make bombs, and it suggests several targets in the United States for lone wolf terrorists. Among those targets, Times Square, casinos, nightclubs in Las Vegas, oil tankers or tanker trains, also the Air Force Academy, the Georgia Military College.
Fox's Doug McElway, and first-time claims for jobless help last week dipping to 298,000. Fox News, we report, you decide.
They say every healthy relationship should have a balance of predictability and spontaneity. In fact, it is that assurance of security that makes the spontaneous possible. Your relationship with your car should be a little like that too. With our new industry-leading unlimited mileage warranty, your